What's up, guys? It's Tony here. Today we'll be going over the ISFJ personality type using John Krasinski as an example. He's a very famous actor nowadays, playing some pretty big roles, so you're probably familiar with him. And of course, his most well known role is playing the character Jim Halpert from the TV show The Office, which I feel is a very good example to use for the ISFJ. So I hope you enjoy.
Critics, and he is now headlining the Amazon series Jack Ryan. I almost said John Ryan. That's the sequel. Please welcome John Krasinski.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'll be John Ryan.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the spin-off. I star in my own spin-off? What?
Yeah, could you do that? Yeah, you
We
can
just
do
did.
anything.
I think we just did. Yeah. Hey everybody, thanks for coming out on a early
it's
morning.
crazy.
It's great.
I already told him there's more people here than there were for Hugh Jackman, so he's winning. Yeah.
Not supposed to be competitive, but
Oh.
how's that feel, Hugh?
This is an audience of SAG actors, so I always like to start by asking, how did you get your SAG card?
Oh, good question.
In order to better understand ISFJs, we need to consider that they lead with a cognitive function called introverted sensing, or SI. What is SI? Some keywords are preservation, skills, especially those that can be improved on over time, long-term memory, past experience. When it's in the first slot, it tends to make the person very prone to absorbing and retaining information, especially tangible information that can be related to the human body and the five senses. But when it's in the first slot, it's like information overload. They just absorb. And the thing is, like, they don't immediately judge it, but rather just store it for later. And when they recall it, they'll be able to remember the details extremely well, better than most people. And one of the best ways to look at SI is like being in tune with the body, being one with the body, understanding all its internal sensations, the needs and wants, health. SI DOMs, they're the type of people that when they go to the doctor, they'll always be able to say exactly when, how, what, and why they started to feel the pain or illness that they were feeling. And they'll be able to describe it very well in great detail. But anyways, now that I've given some examples of SI, try to relate it to what we just saw in the first clip. If you missed it, try to pay attention to where his hands go and his general composure. But yeah, just try to focus on those things for the rest of these clips.
I love my SAG card story because I got my SAG card doing a commercial. I was in college and drove back to Boston on the weekends to do whatever commercials I could. I was an extra, and then I was asked to be a featured extra and be checking out a woman at the counter. And that woman ended up being Margot Martindale.
You're kidding.
Yeah, so my first job was with my later movie Mom. And when we did the Hollers together, we talked about it, and I'd seen her a couple times, but we talked about how my first moment acting was with her, yeah.
Some of you might be thinking, there's no way this guy's introverted. He's not shy, he's not reserved. So, two things to consider. One, he's a very skilled actor and filmmaker with years and years of experience. And two, he's just under 40 years old in this interview, and the functions develop over time for everyone. So, going back to the functions specifically, ISFJs will have extroverted feeling, or FE, in the second slot. And what is FE? Well, think ability to read group dynamics, social cues, harmony, focusing on others, talking about others, like what we just saw, and trying to connect it in like a mutual emotional understanding sort of way. And what you're going to see in the rest of this interview is like a masterful display of FE. So try to focus on how he juggles the attention of the crowd and the interviewer at the same time.
Did you tell her, someday I'm going to direct you?
She tells this story, and I can't even repeat it without laughing because I can't believe it's true. But she did say to me that day, she said, I'm not a betting woman, but if I had any money, I'd bet it all on you. I think you're going to be a big star. And she told that story when we did the Hollers, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah, so I owe her 10%, and
Yes, clearly.
she's doing fine.
One of the things I forgot to mention is that when you're looking for extroverted feeling, look for facial expressions. So because it's extroverted, it's an energy that wants to go outward. And sometimes, not always, you can see it through wide, more horizontal facial expressions. And I've said it once, so I'll say it again. People with strong FE are usually skilled in mimicry, But remember, SI is the function that's in control here. SI has priority.
You did a lot of commercials early on, didn't I?
I did. I mean, I did. I thought it was a lot. I think it was like 5 or 6. So I was
Yeah.
like, this is it. Yeah, I did a lot of weird commercials. I remember I did one commercial for Kodak where, please don't go searching for it. Let's just leave it where it is. But it was 2 roommates who were playing pranks on each other, and one shaved one of his friends in a reverse mohawk, and the other one shaved the other guy's eyebrow.
Yeah.
And my dad is a doctor. He retired, but at the time he was a doctor. And I said, I'm up for this role. I don't know if I'm eyebrow guy or hair guy. And he called me the morning of the news. I hadn't heard yet. And he was like, so here's the deal. Talk to a couple doctors. The eyebrows can and cannot come back. That may or may not happen. So just play your reverse mohawk guy. And I was like, this put a damper on the day. So they were like, congratulations. And I was like, just get to the part of my eyebrow guy. Am I eyebrow guy? And they were like, no, you're reverse mohawk guy.
Oh, thank God.
And then as I was doing it to the real guy, I was like, oh, it's totally going to grow back.
Yeah. Oh, you really did shave it?
Oh, yeah, I shaved his
Oh, my God,
eyebrow,
that
yeah.
poor man.
Yeah, we did one take. All you need is one.
Yeah.
All you need is one.
And he was never heard from again. His career was ruined by that one eyebrow.
No.
So there's a lot of stuff that just happened in that clip, and most of the things I've already mentioned before, but I'm trying to keep these videos as simple as I can, so let's try to be objective here. We just saw him recall a past event to a live audience, right? And usually ISFJs will be happy to do this with others because they're really good at it, SIFE. But what I wanted to share with you is, and take this with a grain of salt, that usually if someone is looking down like this, it means that they're recalling a past experience and kind of playing the film back in their head. And SI DOMs are amazing at doing this. But again, you have to be really careful with reading eye movements because sometimes they're just looking down at their shoes or something on the floor. But in this specific example, I feel like it's worth mentioning. And another thing I noticed going back to FE is that people with strong FE will have this tendency to ask others for advice or how to do something or what to do. As to why, I'll go into it more when I make videos about the functions.
Well, no, I actually remember because we were introduced at the Kinsey premiere years ago.
Oh my God,
yeah, by
yes.
my friend who does a lot of commercials, who I think had worked with you.
That's right.
Yeah, and I said what is now, I realized, the dumbest thing ever because I was friends with Jenna Fisher through theater. And she said, this is John. He's just been cast in the new Office pilot. And I was like, oh, have you worked with this girl, Jenna Fisher? And you
Yes, she's my TV wife.
Yes. And you played it so cool. You were like, oh, yeah, I know her. And then
Yeah.
I see the show and I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot.
That's what I was hoping you'd feel.
It paid off. A year later, I felt the shame.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah.
Real quickly, I wanted to address one of the common stereotypes with ISFJs that tends to be true very often and you can use. And that's that if an ISFJ goes through a situation where they get attached to something and invest time in learning how that thing works or having some sentimental value to it, and then that thing changes entirely or gets lost or gets destroyed, then they will usually get very emotionally upset and they will let you know about it. And the idea here is that introverted sensing is a function. It doesn't really like change. It wants to preserve information of what is known and then expand on that. Like, think of adding pictures to a photo album or plants to a garden.
So I want to go back actually and start at the beginning. You were born and raised in Boston.
We're going all the way back.
We're going
Got
all
it, yes.
the way back.
Born and raised in Boston, yeah.
When did you first know you wanted to be an actor? Were you the kid who did school plays or?
No, funnily enough, the first big acting thing I had was in high school. I basically played basketball and I ran cross country to get in shape for basketball. And so I really didn't have any access to, I'd seen plays and done all this stuff, but I was really kind of out of any artistic universe. And then BJ Novak, who went to high school with me, came up to me and he said, we're doing this thing, we're reviving this thing called the Senior Show. And I had heard about it in lore, where the seniors write this giant parody on the school and the teachers love it. And BJ was like, we're gonna revive it. It went down because some kid was too controversial and we're gonna do it 5 years later and I want you to be the lead of it, one of the leads of it. And I remember asking him, what are you, crazy? And he was like, no, trust me, you can do this. And so that was my first kind of gig.
kidding.
Yeah.
Before we get to this last clip, And it's almost as if I don't even have to say it anymore at this point, but look how easily he recalls these memories and how vividly he expresses them.
And then I went to college, and somewhere in the back of my mind thought, maybe I can play basketball in college. And I came in as a mid-year at Brown University, and so they had this mid-year program, and obviously the basketball season was already midstream. But I went up to meet the coach, and I actually opened the door, and everybody was practicing. And as the door opened, and by the time it shut, I was like, no. I was like, nope, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. You guys look like you've been up too long.
Yeah.
Looks like you guys are working out. Don't want anything to do with that. And then as I was walking back from that moment at the gym, I remember there was a flyer on a tree, which was a big deal at Brown. I remember being like, you can't nail things to trees.
Especially at Brown.
Everybody needs to know that. Yeah. So I pulled this flyer down for a sketch comedy group, and I went and auditioned, and completely changed my life. And I remember I went to audition because I wanted to be in that community.
Really?
And that's kind of the reason why I keep doing what I'm doing, because the only reason I'm here is because of all the friends and incredible support system I've had from the beginning.
And speaking of communities, I want to give a big shout out to my subscribers. You guys have been very kind and supportive, so I want to let you know that I really do appreciate it. Until next time, thanks for watching.